Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is Baba Yara, and today I'll be doing the part 2 of the exposing the fake doctrine of the Hebrew Israelites. And the last time in part 1, I exposed that Jesus isn't black, and I also exposed that King James wasn't a black man. So those have been debunked already. So now we're going to go into Deuteronomy 28 and 68 that Hebrew Israelites love to use. They love to use this and say it's one of the curses. And it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and thou shalt be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Now, yeah, Egypt isn't America. Black people went into the Americas, so they went into the Caribbean and they went into Brazil, which is the Americas, right? So that's the first thing. So that just completely, obliterates that lie. But these Hebrew Israelites, they're so slippery, so they will normally tell you that the name Egypt means house of bondage. These clowns, I know, it's just ridiculous, really. They say that Egypt means house of bondage, which it doesn't. The name Egypt comes from the Greek Egyptos, which was the Greek pronunciation of ancient Egyptian name Haut Kar Ptah, and which means the mansion or the spirit of Ptah. So, you want me to say that again, so you can actually properly hear it? The name Egypt comes from the Greek Egyptos, which was the Greek pronunciation of the ancient Egyptian name Haut Kar Ptah. So, they're lying. Yeah, their scholarship's weak and pathetic. You know what I mean? And in Deuteronomy is 28:68. I'm gonna find it again. Where is it? Where is this now? 28. It says 28:68. It says, "Thou shalt not see it no more again, and they shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Black people were bought and sold. People were buying them. So that one is now completely and utterly being debunked. Yeah. So they need to come better because that one's a lie. So I've debunked that. What I'm gonna do now is I'll show you a clip of how these Hebrew Israelites clowns are so easy to be made a fool out of by this European guy. Look how easy their weak story gets exposed. Watch this.
How do you know who is the tribe of Dan today? How did you come by that information?
How do I know who the children of Israel are today?
I'm being more specific because I feel like sometimes it can get vague. How do you know who is the tribe of Dan today?
How do I know who the tribe of Dan is? The tribe of Dan is not a tribe of Israel today.
Okay. How do you know who is the tribe of Benjamin today?
According to the prophecies and testimony that the Father gave in the Scriptures.
But how do you know that those whom you call Benjamites are the Benjamites described in Genesis 49?
According to the prophecy.
What prophecy did the Benjamites fulfill that let you know they are the Benjamites of Genesis 49?
They went into slavery.
Okay.
According to the Scripture.
Where does it say in Genesis 49 that will happen?
In Deuteronomy 28 and Genesis 49, it lets them know the blessings and the demeanor according to what the Father told Jacob. And also all the other prophets.
Well, Deuteronomy 28 says they'll go into slavery into Egypt again.
Right. And
okay.
America is our Egypt.
Okay, what's the hold on. What's the precept? There's a line of questioning here, and it's helpful. What's your precept that says America equals Egypt of Deuteronomy 28:68? What's your precept for that?
Sure. And this is where you have to understand.
What's the precept for that?
Yeah. Exodus 15. That's not too hard. Out of the house of bondage. I have to look that up on my phone.
Are you saying whenever the scripture says house of bondage, it equals America?
Not equals. I didn't say it equals America. What the Lord is saying that you will go into Egypt again, as you will go into captivity again.
Are the ships?
Israel,
are the ships in Deuteronomy 28:68 literal?
Yeah. Did we not come into?
So the ships in Deuteronomy 28:68 are literal, but Egypt's not literal.
Wait a second. Did we not? Did black people, or so-called black people, so-called African people, not come into America on slave ships?
Yeah,
yes,
so, see, do you see how, right in the same literally sentence, you have literal ships and not literal Egypt, but Egypt is mentioned 3 times in Deuteronomy 28. Each time it mentions something about Egypt, it means actual place, Egypt. So I'm asking you, what's your precept to say Deuteronomy 28:68 equals America?
America is our second Egypt. That's why it says
precept.
You shall go into Egypt.
Give me the precept.
Again
what's the precept?
Ships. See, this is wait. Because I understand the precept upon precept there. And really, this is like right in front of our face. And the only people that can truly spiritually bear witness to going into Egypt or slavery again with ships are the people who did it. For an outsider to say that that does not apply to us, because the scripture says they would put a yoke of iron upon our neck until they have destroyed us.
Okay.
Wait, Caucasian people put a yoke of iron on our neck, which caused us to lose our nationality, our language, our culture. See, we can bear witness to that. I don't have to go precept upon precept. I'm a living witness because I am a descendant of that.
There you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer. 2 questions.
It doesn't say offer yourself. It doesn't say offer yourself. It says you shall be sold unto your enemy.
Was there no buyer in the slave market?
No.
I thought there was buyers. I thought that's why they kept on kidnapping people, because there was buyers.
You have it totally off center. We did not offer ourselves to go into slavery. We did not volunteer ourselves.
Forget about the offer part.
In America.
Was there a buyer?
No. Wait. Do you understand that? We did not offer ourselves in slavery in America.
His point is.
No.
I'm just trying to show you what. Yes, I do. I agree.
We were taken and kidnapped.
I agree with you. Okay. And kidnapping is a violation of Old Testament law and is actually punishable by death. So you and I are on the same page about that. If people would have just followed no kidnapping, it wouldn't happen. But there were buyers. See, the reason why I'm pressing you on this is because you said, here's my rationale, prophecy. I'm asking you how they fit prophecy. You turn to Deuteronomy 28:68. I then, therefore, put the screws, in a sense, to Deuteronomy 28:68. See if it matches up the work you're trying to get out of it. Then you tell me I can't understand as an outsider, which sounds like a cop-out. And then I'm going to specific things. Egypt is figurative.
One, you're using the New King James Version.
I have the ESV, not a New King James Version. But I could...
No, the new. Aren't you using the New King James Version right now with that translation?
No, English Standard Version.
Okay. So in that interpretation, it's saying that, or it's trying to imply that the children of Israel would offer themselves to be slaves in a nation or in a place that they will go into slavery with in ships. And according to what happened to the translation in the scriptures and what happened to us, that's not true. We didn't offer ourselves.
KJV.
We were sold into Egypt on slavery.
KJV says, no man shall buy you.
No man will redeem us.
Wait, you just told me to go to the KJV, and the KJV says, no man shall buy you. And why are you using the word redeem now? Where'd that come from?
The word buy, in Hebrew law, when a man is sold into slavery, that man can be bought or redeemed from the slave master and set free.
So I go to...
In America, we were sold as slaves in this country in 1865.
Okay.
They just let us go.
Okay, wait. Well, hold on. Come on, this is getting way out there. There's a simple point here. I'd like to see. No, we are, but you're not hearing what's being said to you. Let me just see if we can wrap this up. The Hebrew says wa'en koneh, which means
in Deuteronomy 28:68.
Yes, wa'en koneh. Let's not worry about English translations because English wasn't around when this was written. What ein koneh means there will be no buyer. Now, if you're saying that the ships earlier in the sentence is literal, Egypt is not, I think what vocab is asking you is, how can you say this is a fulfillment of prophecy when the text specifically says ein koneh? There is no buyer. And from my perspective, what I want to ask is, my forefathers were sold into slavery as well.
Here we go.
Oh, you shouldn't.
What are you laughing about? Do you think that only that slavery has only existed amongst black people in the world?
No, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm laughing because in the book of Luke, the Messiah said the tribe of Judah the temple was going to be destroyed, the city burnt to the ground. Close the door. And we were going to be expelled out of our land. And the scripture says we fled into Africa. So all those people from the tribe of Judah that fled into Africa and were amongst the indigenous African people, two different nations of people in Africa. But in the 1600s, Judah, according to the prophecy, was sold into slavery. There you shall
in the
be sold
1600s
for bondmen and bondwomen. And no man shall buy you, meaning as a slave, to be purchased back or redeemed from the captivity that they're in. France didn't free us to say, hey, go back home. Spain didn't free us to say, hey, get these slaves out of America and take them back home. See, the thing is you're interpreting the scripture because you're misinterpreting the scripture because you're not the recipient of the person.
How did Esau, hold on, this is a relevant question. How did Esau know who to snatch? How did they know how to get only Israelites off the Ivory Coast?
Because during the papal bull of Pope Alexander VI of Rome, Dum Diveris, and all the subsequent bulls after that, they understood where the tribe of Judah was, being the recipients of the Roman Empire.
So Esau, then the slave traders, they knew exactly who to snatch. Why would Esau want to fulfill prophecy?
But no. It's not about what. Let me say two things. One, when America went into Iraq, did they not go get Saddam Hussein? And did they not know who he is? So how are you going to sit here and say now that the Roman Empire, who ruled from the whatever river all the way to the east, did not know in their historical records where the dispersed of the tribe of Judah was? And once you understand the hatred of the children of Esau toward the children of Judah, do you not understand that hatred and envy is so in-depth in them that they create doctrines to sit here and say, now you're not the children of Israel? Why would you put a people in captivity and take the knowledge of who they are and where they come from?
Look, we've gone way over time. The problem I've got here is what you're telling me is none of these texts made any sense until America was founded. I mean, that's what you're telling me.
The scripture says until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And what people didn't see in the wonderful mystery of my God is that these are the end times. America is Babylon the Great. It's also our spiritual Egypt.
You know what? I'll tell you something, Abaya. As a person that's taught church history, there have been people who have engaged in this abuse of the scripture in every single generation. It's been done over and over and over again. I appreciate the 17-minute phone call that we have had. Thank you for calling in today. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Eric. I'm sorry, Daniel. We've gone way over time as it is.
No, look, how embarrassing was that? Yeah, that was 11 minutes of just straight up exposing and debunking that stupid, ignorant doctrine by some Europeans, by the people that they claim are Esau. So, you know what I mean? It's just pathetic, really, isn't it? Which I've been trying to explain in these, exposés or these debunking, or should I say defrocking of these, I don't know, man, these people, man, you know what I mean? Because the heart's in the right place, but the mind's somewhere else, you get what I'm saying? And that is not going to work for African people, man. I wish these brothers would know themselves, man, you know what I mean? Like, the only ones I can kind of get along with is the African Hebrew Israelites. You know what I mean? Like, a little bit, but the doctrine, yet again, believing in a book, believing in fairy tales, believing that Jesus is gonna come back, you know what I mean, out of the sky and help black people and African people. That is the wrong doctrine to have. People can have any spirituality they choose, but it's got to be based in some sort of reality, man. You know what I mean? And this is just straight up fairy tale, just ignorance. You know what I mean? And it's not African. It's just simple. Don't let no one fool you. This is a European person's book, and you can get all that information from a good brother named Merkaba on YouTube. He's got like excellent videos on that, and you can break it all the way down. This is just an introduction. You know what I mean? And I was gonna say also in this part too that for the sisters, man, not that any of these guys can get any women, you know what I mean? These guys are just pathetic, man. You know what I mean? But if any sister is drawn to this doctrine, I'm telling you, don't be. You know what I mean? Because these guys will abuse you. Yeah, they don't know their self, man. So they will just abuse you, and they'll use the Bible, because you know the Bible is an abusive book for women. It is. Look at Eve. They see Eve as the person that made mankind sin and then made mankind become this bad person. It was all down to Eve. You know what I mean? Some of the things that got in that book, so you know, anti-women. You know, so don't even go there, please, sisterins. You know, don't go there. There's been so much women that have been into that cult and then end up dead. You know what I mean? So please don't. But if you don't want to take my advice for it, listen to this clip and make up your own decision. But first, listen to this clip, or should I say, watch this clip. Hotep.
Shalom. Today I'm going to be announcing a new series of videos that I will do, if the Most High permits, on intimate partner abuse in the Hebrew Israelite community, and really just degradation of women and children in general in the Hebrew Israelite community. Now, if you follow my channel over the years, you know my background as a former Hebrew Israelite. I don't identify with the broad Hebrew Israelite community. I identify as a Torah observant Yehudim, which I am biblically centered. I don't go off of the man-made doctrines of the Hebrew Israelite cult. So when you see me talk about stuff, I don't typically bring in the race, the prejudice, and all the other women-hating doctrines of the Hebrew Israelite community. However, I am an Israelite of African descent, so understand that about me. So I lost my way and got involved in the broader Hebrew Israelite movement, and then via enlightenment and growing, realized that it was a male chauvinist murder cult, according to what John Henrik Clarke described most of these Abrahamic religions. Now, I want to talk about spousal abuse, intimate partner abuse, because a lot of these men actually don't marry the women that they cohabitate with. They have multiple wives, some of them, and other times they just feel like they can make a contractual agreement, not one with the legal system, and then they can claim a wife. Or even some of them believe they can just lay down with a woman and that makes them their wife. In many instances, I've seen a lot of welfare fraud, a lot of people having multiple women, all collecting food stamps. They won't sign the birth certificates of their children so that the women will not hold them legally responsible, meaning when you get on welfare, a lot of times they will garnish the wages of the man on the birth certificate if you are receiving food stamps and welfare benefits. So a lot of them play this game with the welfare system. So I'm going to talk about the two most recent mainstream, I guess, in the media murders that took place within that Hebrew Israelite community. about 4 years ago, I believe, in Durham, North Carolina, I believe North Carolina or South Carolina, a man, a polygynous man, and his multiple wives and children were involved in the murder of one of the particular women and one of their children. The case, if you can look it up, his last name is Moses. The case states that one of the children was trying to, was exhibiting either homosexual behavior or was being inappropriate with another child. I don't know if they touched another child or something like that. But for whatever reason, that turned into one of the women being murdered and the child in question being murdered. You can see that if you look online. I'm going to do a little bit more in-depth research, and I'm going to get into the psyche of some of these individuals, these men in particular, who feel they have the right to disregard the life of black women, Hebrew Israelite women, and children. I'm going to talk also about the recent case in Philadelphia where a woman was beaten, stripped naked, and beaten by her Hebrew Israelite cohabitator. They weren't married. She had 2 children, and they watched her be beaten because she would not submit. This is what, according to what was reported, she would not submit to this man. So him and his friend or associate beat this woman to death, and they were charged with second-degree murder. I don't know if it was first or second-degree murder, and also abuse of a corpse. So even after the woman was dead, they probably mutilated and did even more things in front of her 2 children. This is something I'm speaking about, not because it's necessarily my cause, because I'm not a Hebrew Israelite anymore. I wouldn't walk into one of these congregations if you paid me. I wouldn't associate with 9 out of 10 of these people. There's some good people, but unfortunately they're misguided. I was one of those people, so I can't look at all of them as bad. But you get to a certain point where you see certain patterns of behavior. I'm going to talk also about some of the things I saw when I was in these congregations. The children that were so violent and would attack other children and adults, and you're like, where did they get these behaviors from? They see it in their homes. One particular individual talked about how it may be necessary for him to physically accost his wife if the situation was necessary, giving an opening to these types of abuses that we see in the news. They start off as be submissive, do this, do that, and it turns into people winding up dead. Now, spousal abuse, intimate partner abuse is not limited to Hebrew Israelites. This is something that goes on in many different communities and relationships and religions. I'm talking about this because there's an anti-black woman particular sentiment in the Hebrew Israelite movement, and I'm going to talk about it. Even among the women, they're black male identified women who really have a lot of contempt for other black women. So even the women who would seek help from their sisters can't, because the other women will be like, well, you need to submit more. Well, why did you do this and why did you do that? So you're not going to receive the support that you need within the community oftentimes. And it's sad because then you don't have no one to turn to. And then you have this abusive male who can isolate you. You probably already isolated because you're a Hebrew Israelite, because you can't really associate with people in your family like you used to, because they celebrate certain things and their lifestyle's different. So this is a incubator for abuse. You got isolated women indoctrinated into a cult, a male chauvinist murder cult, and then you see the outcomes. Christians murder their wives, Mormons murder their wives. I'm sure all these different religions murder their wives. But why are these murders so brutal and sadistic? Stripping a woman down in front of her children, beating her to death, and even beating her dead corpse. Something is really wrong. Something is really wrong with the psyche and a community that will produce these sorts of behaviors. And not all Hebrew Israelites abuse women, but there is an anti-black woman, black child sentiment. To do that in front of those children, to beat that woman to death in front of her children, means you hate those children just like you hated that woman. Nobody can convince me otherwise. So we're going to go into this. And this is not the only case. Go into some of these other communities, the Yahweh, Ben Yahweh communities, the murders, and the cult-like followings. These are not isolated incidents. We only hear about these because they actually got reported. We don't even know what's really going on because these women are oftentimes isolated and they have no support system around them. So I wanted to share that. We're going to be talking about this in the next couple of weeks and what's been going on. I'm going to talk about my own brushes with abusive intimate partners, and I'm going to tell you about my experiences. So it's not just, this is not me looking from the outside looking in. These are things that if I wasn't a strong woman, I would have been susceptible to as well. And it's not isolated. So I want to, with that, bid you shalom.